In the name of the Father, and the Son, and Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Uh, if the ultimate commandments is for us to love God and love our neighbors as we love ourselves, and to live up to the potential that God created us to use our abilities in order for us to be helpful to the world around us and to ourselves, if there is one thing that can strike all of these down, it's this kind of weakness of falling into comparison. When we fall into comparison, I cannot love God, I cannot love others, and I will just always live in this kind of self-pity. You remember in the first temptation ever, Satan, while is trying to convince Eve to break the commandment, he used certain kind of strategies. One of them is to make her to compare herself with God. If you eat, you will be like him. Maybe this is the first time Eve thought ever, can I be like him? Why not? And then from this point on, we know the rest of the story. So how can we resist this kind of temptation, of weakness? Comparison is not something always wrong, but most of the time we'll find that have negative consequences. And in the Bible, in many ways, warning us not fall into this temptation. So we'll talk in few words about reasons of comparisons, why we tend to compare ourselves with others, what are the consequences of this kind of weakness, how can we overcome negative comparisons, and then if there are any positive comparisons, we can be engaged in, and whenever we do it, there is something good come out from it. So everything goes back into our fallen nature. Before Adam and Eve fall from the obedience to God and transgress his commandment, they were connected to him and connected to one another. So Adam looked at her and he never perceived any kind of threat. On the contrary, he said, this is flesh of my flesh and bones of my bones. This was ultimately how he should feel everyone around him. And also, if hypothetically there was no transgression, the whole creation, every one person coming from his offspring will feel the same. This is flesh of flesh and bones of my bones. I don't have any sense of insecurity around other people. But our fallen nature being severed from God, now we see other people as subject of comparison and competition. So from this, we find also other reasons. It starts maybe at childhood, when parents try to encourage their children by putting them in comparison with others around them. Maybe the kids never thought about doing this, but when parents say, why you are not like this boy or this girl? What does he or she have more to excel in school and be like this? Why you cannot do this? So from doing something like this, you put in the mind of the child that in order for me to accept, to gain acceptance, I have to compare myself. And then I have to go back and report, now I am like this person. Not only in this way, but also even in instilling in the minds of the children that you are better than others. This kind of comparison all the time. Sometimes a child comes back with a good grade in school. And instead of greeting the child, celebrating him, then the question comes from the parents, how much did this person score? So it's not about the score then. It is about how I compare to other people. All of these instill in the minds of the children to grow with this kind of weakness, all the time comparing themselves for everything. Another reason also is this kind of ego. And this ego is a hidden master. And sometimes we are not aware that we are serving this more than anybody else. This ego can become truly my God. All the time I am mindful of myself, and my ego wants to compare in order to compete, and I feel like better than other people around me. The more this ego is there and I am aware of it, the more I fall into the weakness of comparison and competition with people around me. A common reason also is this sense of low self-esteem. Whatever the reason why it is there, but again, my sense of my worth, it is always low. And then I compare myself to other people, and I see more they are better than me. And this enforces the idea more and more. It's like a vicious cycle that I go into it without any kind of hope to come out from it. I look down to myself and I look, oh, this person talks better than me. He looks better than me. He scores better in school than me. And then, oh, that's why I am like this. I am not good enough. And from this point, again, this kind of cycle that makes us to end up into an anxiety and depression. Another reason also is the cultural pressure. The society around us promotes certain ideas about success. This person is a figure that's successful because he has money or because he is in certain career. Then this is success. By the way, this is not only for today or in the culture of the United States, it's everywhere. Ask any parents in Egypt what they want their children to be. What's the answer? To be doctors, right? Everybody wants to be the doctor. As if like doctors are the only people who are successful in the society. And okay, who is going to be the patient then? Everybody is going to be a doctor. But again, this is what the culture is promoting. Oh, this is success. Oh, this is beauty. At a certain time, by the way, to be beautiful was to look like in a certain way, dressed in a certain way. But this changes, and people look at what the society is promoting. And now, according to this standard, I am not beautiful because this is what the culture around me is promoting and letting me know. The social media is the place where everyone brags about something. And then people look at it, why I don't have this? Why I'm not enjoying this? Why I'm not going to the same places like those people are going? Why I'm not as happy and cheerful and successful as those people? And of course, we all know only the social media gives us the highlights. No one is going to put a picture of him struggling or crying or feeling bad or failing in something. So again, it's a polished picture. People put it for themselves, and others fall into the comparison. Why I am not like this? The fear of failure, again, something instilled in us. We all want to be successful. Yes, nothing wrong with this. But seeing other people succeed, I might be thinking that, oh, I cannot be there. I cannot do like them. I doubt myself if I can ever achieve something like this. This fear makes people to feel like I'm not good enough. I will never be able to score as those people who scored or achieve something that's similar. I'm afraid to fail, and I always compare how this person grew, what he did in school, and then I always see if am I in the same place or not, am I doing likewise or not. This whole idea about fearing of failure make us to compare ourselves to others, and the end result also is the same, anxiety and depression and feeling low self-esteem further. Another reason also is not being so much aware of whom I am and what God granted me as something that's unique. I don't know exactly my strengths or my values or qualities or what I am created here to do. Because in my mind, I always see others. I'm not looking exactly at how unique I am, what God enabled me to do, and what is this setting me in order for me to be successful. Lack of self-awareness, because I always look around, looking to people, not to myself. Another reason of why we fall into this problem of comparison. What are the common consequences of the weakness of comparison? If I start this, if I am tempted with it, if I'm not resisting this, then what will happen is I will never be able to be thankful, either to God or to anything around me. All the time it's about me and them. I will never be able to feel content and satisfied or appreciate things or people around me. Living like this, always the time grumbling and complaining and feeling like I am not treated fairly, all of these again will hinder me from enjoying many blessings that God granted to me. Jealousy and envy, of course, are expected. If you look at Cain, would you think Cain will be as mad for his sacrifice not to be accepted by God as when he compares himself to his brother? Maybe actually this is what made him more to become more irritated. My brother remind me with my failure. If I would be successful, I have to be like Abel. Okay, I cannot put my anger against God. I cannot get to him, but I can get to my brother. And then the only solution for me to feel comfortable is to make my brother to disappear. This envy, it was escalated to the point of I get rid of him so I don't have to see him anymore. Maybe we do not go as far as thinking of killing someone, but maybe rejoicing in the failure of other people. This person that I was looking up to and I'm comparing myself, I see him today is in misery or is in failing, and I feel this sense of I'm happy. Because again, he is failing. He is not reminding me in any way with my shortcomings. If you look at Joseph's brothers, so envious of their brother to the point even of trying to kill him, and hardly Reuben was able to save him by convincing, let us put him away from us. You don't have to kill him, but okay, get rid of him. This jealousy and envy has no limits. One of the fathers said, committing adultery is something you do it in a minute. Killing someone also happen in a minute. But envy is this kind of sin that's always propagated in the heart of the envious person. You sleep and you woke up with this sense of envy. It's a devastating problem that comes again from the weakness of comparison. The third consequence of this weakness is that I will never be able to rejoice with those who rejoice. The command for us is to mourn with those who are mourning and to rejoice with those who rejoice. We sometimes think it's easier to rejoice rather than to mourn. It is exactly the opposite. Very easy that you mourn with a person who is mourning. He lost something and you go and you try to comfort this person, sharing his grief. The difficulty is to be able to rejoice with someone else who got a promotion or succeeded or joined a certain kind of a school or anything like this. It is very difficult because looking at this person, I compare and I feel bad. How can I rejoice in his success while again this will be a reminder of me, I have to measure up to this person. And then what will happen is, as a consequence of not being able to rejoice in the success of others, we resort to hypocrisy. So happy for you. Maybe I'm not. I'm just saying something just like, because I have to say it. But in reality, I'm not. I'm feeling bad for myself and I cannot rejoice in your success or your promotion. Another consequence is also this kind of self-pity and yielding to the spirit of complaining and being a victim. And then after going from I am not as good, then I try to go why I'm not as good. Maybe someone else is responsible for it. Maybe how I was treated by my parents. Maybe the circumstances around me. Maybe the people in the church. Maybe God himself, he's not fair. And self-pity is something that's like the drug. Make the person numb and feel good because I'm a victim, but at the end of the day, when I wake up, the pain is still there. I'm not going anywhere. You remember the story of the prodigal son. We heard it 2 weeks ago. The older son, he was living in the house, enjoying everything that his father has to offer. But at the same time, he was pitying himself. You never give me a goat to rejoice and celebrate with my friends. And his father, while trying to correct his mindset that was so flawed, he told him, all what I have is yours. What are you talking about? You're talking about a goat? Everything that is mine is yours. This self-pity, I was serving you. And he told him, no, you are not the servant. You are the son. You are the owner. This self-pity, again, make us to always look to the world from this kind of the perception of a victim. Never, ever live with this or accept it to become your mindset. Or you surrender to it because this makes you feel like, it's not because of me, something that's outside of myself. This is a horrible way to justify to yourself why I'm not doing good. Because I'm a victim. Sadly, it's something that's very common in community. Everybody's a victim because of whatever reason. And because you're a victim, then people have to sympathize with you, and you have to be treated in a certain way because you're treated unfairly. Another consequence is also being overtaken by the spirit of competitiveness. Remember Saul the king? Saul the king, he had a war to go against the Philistines. Goliath came up. Goliath was a challenge. And neither Saul nor any of his soldiers were able to stand up for this giant. And David, this young boy, 18 years old, came, and we know the rest of the story. He was able to conquer Goliath and made victory. Everybody's happy. This is great. It's a joyful day. It's a day of celebration. And suddenly, women were singing and celebrating the victory, said, Saul, the king, killed his thousands, and David killed his myriads. Myriads are 10,000. And all of a sudden, instead of this day is a day of joy and celebration, it becomes a very sad day for Saul. Oh, they gave me thousands and give this child myriads. And we ended up into Saul. From this point, his life is dedicated to the killing or hunting for David. Such a miserable story. We read all of it in the book of 1 Samuel. The spirit of competitiveness came upon him once he started hearing, they comparing me to David, giving David more people to kill, and for me, I'm just getting over or overcoming thousands. Another consequence also for this weakness, stumbling at God's wisdom. Why God is doing this? It eventually has to go back to God, because if I look at those people, why he is more successful or she is more beautiful, or why this person got this kind of a chance or opportunity and I didn't, and I have to go back into who is responsible, then I have to go back again and trace it till I find God is at the center of this kind of problem. God is not fair. You remember the parable of the laborers of the 11th hour. So the owner of the vineyard hired people. And then the people who came to work in the first hour, he told them, I will give you a denarius per day. You are happy with it? Yes, we are happy. And then he hired people to work in other hours until he hired people working just in the 11th hour, 1 hour, just 1 hour a day. And at the end, out of his generosity, he was giving to the people who worked 1 hour the same wage like those people who worked the whole day. The people who worked the whole day could have been happy and content if they looked at what they received. This is what we agreed upon, and I'm okay. But they started comparing. You are giving me like those people who worked for 1 hour? And this comparison made them to grumble against the owner of the vineyard. You are not fair. This is not right. And he told them, it is my money. I do with it as I wish. And of course it is his money. God, whenever he distributes something, he has wisdom in it. And he knows how this kind of gifts are going to be exactly what you need in order for you to be saved. It's amazing, that no two human beings ever born since the beginning of creation had two fingerprints who are the same. It's for a reason. Why this uniqueness? Even identical twins, they have different fingerprints than other people. Everyone has his own gifts, his own talents, has his own way and path to salvation. Something for you, not for this person, not for this person. Knowing this will make you to focus more on what you have, not what you did not receive. Comparison, looking to other people, will make you at the end of the day to be offended at God himself, because he is the giver and he is not fair. Another consequence also is the continuous transgression of the 10 commandments. You know the 10 commandments? The 10 commandments? The 10th one of them, what? You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. It is something that people transgress every single day. Maybe the other 9, maybe we can be okay. I'm not tempted to steal, commit adultery, to kill someone. But this kind of command it is very difficult, because all the time, if I compare, I will covet. If I look to my, not a donkey now or a servant, look to his car or his house, or then, okay, this is what I do. Why I don't have the same? Why I was not gifted like this person? Why I don't have the same luck in life like this person? So we live in a time where the 10th commandment is broken all of the time by many of the people, if not most of them. Another consequence is the loss of value of the gift. Imagine you go to a dealer buying a car, you are excited about it, you are so happy, you drive it, you go back home. While you are parking your car, you look at your neighbor, and all of a sudden, your neighbor coming with a better car. So your car that you was happy with it a few hours ago, now you look at it and you feel miserable. Why I don't have the same car like my neighbor? So what happened? It's immediate depreciation of your car. It became of no value just because I started comparing it to the car of my neighbor. And if this happened, loss of value will be accompanied by loss of joy. And instead of going to my house and feeling satisfied, give thanks to God for the gift of today, I feel bad, I feel sad. Why I don't have the same means so I can have a better car than the one I got today? Loss of value does not only apply on cars or houses, applies also on people even around me. Why I don't have the same wife or the same children? Why I don't have the same look like this person? And this is endless and get us in a place where really, again, we find ourselves depressed, anxious, and not being able to give thanks. Another consequence also is the developing of the false sense of security. When I compare myself not to a person who is better than me, but I compare myself to a person that I perceive that he is less than me. It's a comparison also from a different kind, but it makes us into a bad place. In the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, the Pharisee went to pray. Good for you, standing before God. I thank you, Lord. But while he is mindful of this idea about how to feel good about myself, I am not like other people who are adulterers and idolaters and extortioners, and not like this man. This sense of security that he wanted to develop just by making a comparison with the person that he perceives like he is not as good as me. Or in another way, the comparison like everyone is doing the same, so whatever I'm doing is okay. Majority of the world, they are doing this. Everyone is breaking the command like that. So it should be now something that maybe it's okay. Maybe God doesn't care about it anymore because everyone is doing it. This is a comparison, and also again have this kind of negative impact on us whenever we are engaged in it. Another consequence is also falling prey to the spirit of failure and sense of inadequacy. I am doing a certain job and doing it well. I graduate from a certain school and I have a good grade from it. But again, when people tell me why you did not do this, why you did not achieve that, why you are not working as this other person, then I fall into the spirit of failure because I'm not good enough. If God intended for all people to be with a certain career, how community will function, how a body would look like if every member in it is an eye, this will look like a monster. It's not a body. But this is a common consequence, feeling always as I'm failing, I'm not good enough. The 11th consequence is the distraction from God's plan and my purpose in it. Even St. Peter, he was also like taken into this kind of the weakness of comparison. When the Lord Christ appeared to him and the disciples after the resurrection, taking Peter aside, talking with him to restore him back to his apostleship. Then Peter, seeing him, referring to St. John, while he was walking with Jesus, he looked behind him and he found John coming. Said to Jesus, "But Lord, what about this man?" Jesus said to him, "If I will that he remain till I come, what is that to you? You follow me. What's your business with him? Why you are looking to him? Mind your own business. Just do what you need to do. I'm talking with you. Focus on your plan, my purpose in you." Because we are distracted all the time by comparison, I cannot see what I am called to do, or I am supposed to be worrying about, or how can I develop myself in whatever place that I am in, or what is my path to serve God or serve other people around me. This is again one of the most drastic consequences of comparisons. I am mindful only with who said what, who did what, not what I am should be doing, what I should be achieving, what I should be pursuing in life. How to overcome or how to fight negative comparisons? One of the strategies is to heed the King Solomon, the wise man, saying, "Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man do not go." There are certain people who are all the time speaking about, look at this, look at that, look at this person. Maybe it's better for us not to befriend a person like this, who always make this kind of comparison and make us to be mindful with it. So this is one thing, avoiding this kind of relationship that make you all the time to compare yourself with other people. This idea of the social media, and I always speak about it over and over and over, such a bad thing. This is one of the negatives of the time we live in. People say, oh, this keeps us connected. But what kind of connection? I always see that less of this makes you healthier, happier, and mentally sound. Going into this place, the social media, most of what you gain out of it is waste of time, waste of energy, waste of your peace, hearing a bunch of lies, people giving opinion that you would care the least about what they say. Limiting social media will help you to get rid of this kind of comparing yourself with other people. People only, as I said, share highlights. They do not share struggles. If you look at it and you think this is truly their lives, then definitely you'll have to fall into why I am not like them. To experience and exercise and live a life of thanksgiving and appreciation to God and others, even for small things. When you focus on your life, you woke up in the morning today and you see yourself, you are still alive, standing on your feet, can use your hand. All of these, again, are things to be like thankful for. I'll tell you a story. This was at a time when before the priesthood. So I was working in a hospital, and one of the patients, he has heart failure. And people with very severe cases of heart failure, they cannot sleep flat on their beds. They have to sleep sitting because they have fluids in their lungs. So this man was sitting and sleeping, like folding his arms, sleeping his head on his chest. And it was like 3 a.m. in the morning passing by him, so he wake up. And I asked him, are you okay? He said, I'm okay. I asked him again, do you need anything? Then he said, I just want to sleep. Something that he would be dreaming of, one day to be able to sleep flat. This is all what he is looking for. Something like this, we take it for granted, that we can sleep at night flat and no problem. I woke up on my feet and it's not a big deal. What is here to appreciate? If you really think how many people do not have these, you can use your hand. You can see, you can listen. You have a family, you live in a place that's decent. You have a church, you are in faith. All of these things, if we do not know how to appreciate them, and we are always mindful of what is missing, what other people are having more than us, how can we ever be thankful? And when we do this, we hurt ourselves the most, because we'll never be able to thankful, and then joy will never find its way to us. To identify our own uniqueness and strengths. No two people are the same. What do you have make you unique? And this is what God created you to be. And how you can use this to identify yourself and use your talent to be helpful and to be beneficial to other people. You have what it takes to be successful and joyful in whatever calling that God called you to be in. You don't have to repeat any person's life in order for you to be labeled as successful. Sometimes we need to think to be kind to ourselves instead of this kind of grilling ourselves, always the comparison. Maybe to be kind, maybe give yourself some kind of tap in the shoulder. I'm doing my very best, and I deserve to be respected in my own eyes, to be appreciated, to look at the struggle and what I'm trying to do and feel like I am thankful for whom I am and what I am doing. I make mistakes like anybody else, but meanwhile, I deal with myself with kindness. Learning to be content under any circumstances. St. Paul says this, I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. I would suggest so much that we keep meditating on this verse maybe to the end of the fast. In whatever state I am to be content. When I have abundance, I am content. When I have less, I am content. When I have a lot of food, I have less. A good day, a bad day, I am on every state I'm content. The problem is not in money or riches. It is to be content. Who is the richest person on the face of the planet? It's not the person who owns the most amount of money. It's the person who feel I need the least. This is truly the rich person who is very content to the point that I don't think I am missing anything or I need anything. Being there will be very helpful. You can only be there when you start looking at what you have and you stop comparing yourself to other people. The last point is there any kind of positive comparisons? Yes. Like what? Like comparing yourself to a different status in your life. You remember the lost son in the parable of the lost son in Luke 15. So he was in misery, serving swines, sitting alone, and he's very poor. He has no friends around him. And then he started thinking of, oh, what about those people who are living in my father's house? I'm sorry, looking at himself in comparison to how he lived before. And also those people who are living currently in the Father's house. Being with God, how those people live versus whom I am. How many of my father's hired servants have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger. This was a positive comparison. People who are with God, how I one day experienced God, how I was, and then I compare myself, this will push me again to repentance. To compare yourself with those people who finished the race, those who are heroes of faith, how they endured, how they walked, how they reflected Christ to the world. These are the models that we want to imitate. As St. Paul say, imitate me just I also imitate Christ. If you look at somebody like St. Paul and how much pain and suffering he had to go through in order for him to deliver a message, this is the one that we need to compare ourselves with. And the last comparison that's helpful to us is to compare ourselves with those who carries their crosses with thanksgiving. This picture that you see on the screen here is a picture of a Coptic family living in a poor place. Very common scene, by the way, in Egypt. You find here the icon of Christ. It's made by the hand of someone. And you look at the smiles, and those people are smiling and laughing. And you look at them versus what they have versus what we have. We have everything and they have nothing. If we want to make comparison, let us make it with those people who still can worship Christ and love Him and be faithful and be content and be happy while they are living in a situation that we cannot imagine ourselves being in. If you want to make comparison with those people who are truly heroes in faith, who are accepting their crosses and carrying it with joy. Oh, that more of an inspiration. People who go to Egypt in the summer with hope in order to serve, every one of them come back and say that we were served by those people. We looked at them and we learned it. They gave us a lesson in how their contentment and how their cheerfulness, while they are lacking all of the things that we have today, and we still are not happy with it. As I said from the beginning, comparison is a weakness, but this weakness can destroy everything of value that we have in our life, even our relationship with God and our relationship with each other. Let us work our very best to avoid this, to discern the thought that tells me why you are not like this person, and abort these thoughts very early so we do not go into this kind of negative consequences that we talked about. May the Lord grant us all wisdom to refrain from this kind of temptation, not fall in it, and glory be to God forever and ever. Amen. Do you have any question? Yes, Tony. Actually, no one is expected in how I have to be another Pope Carolus. Pope Carolus is one Pope Carolus. But I can learn from what he did, and I can try to imitate. Maybe I cannot fast and pray as he did, but at least I know how fasting and prayer can help a person to grow spiritually. I don't have to be on his level in order for me to enjoy the fruits of fasting and pray. He spoke about how metanias are scary to the devils. Okay. Maybe actually this will help me in the morning when I'm making the metania, that I know this man spoke about how this kind of practice, spiritual practice, is something that, again, can help me grow. So his dedication, his simplicity, he was a very simple man. So knowing this, maybe this will inspire me rather than discourage me. Yesterday I was hearing a person speaking about Pope Carolus, and speaking about he used to go to churches. He never gave wa'azas, by the way, never gave sermons. Just stand in the altar and the priest gave the sermon. So he went early, and the cantor, Ma'allim, was praying al-tasbihah, midnight praises by himself. So Sayyidina Pope Carolus went to the church while Abuna is not there either. He went to share in tasbihah. So he went, al-Ma'allim was saying tasbihah by himself. So Pope Carolus stood on the other side and started to pray al-Irabi' ma'ah. Al-Ma'allim did not know him. The Pope is in the church. So he was saying, and Pope Carolus was saying, answering back. And then after he finished, al-Ma'allim, the cantor, came close and said, who are you? I told him, this is Carolus. I told him, well done, Carolus. He said, this is one of the people. And then he asked him, Carolus whom? And he told him, Carolus the sixth. So Ma'allim, like, he, of course, Sayyidina, and he started, of course, giving him the honor. This Ma'allim kept on repeating this story, that I found the Pope, like, praying at tasbihah with me. Look at, again, a person on this kind of, like, level, going to a church by himself, and not finding Abuna there. He did not give even him a notice. There is no cell phone where I can text Abuna, I'm coming. He just went, nobody in the church, and he stands and pray with the Ma'allim. Something like this, I find it more inspiring rather than discouraging. And definitely there are many good things, qualities that make us to feel like I want to be or try to imitate his example. I don't have to be him. Maybe it will never happen, I will be him. But certainly these things I want just to do likewise. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you very much. We pray. Let's pray.